So here we go again. More talk about Morgan Gibbs-White leaving Forest. Welcome to your transfer news. Just before we jump into the video, I want to tell you guys about how impressed I've been with Oxford Natural because I've already lost £6. Okay, it's not the £100 Robbie has lost or the £40 that Michael Owen has lost, but it shows complete progress. Now, let's be clear, no supplement's going to do the hard work for you. You got to plan your lifestyle, but this has allowed me to do it. And the good news is now the Optimum Day has a new improved formula with 7 carefully selected ingredients. These ingredients include the likes of citicoline and lion's mane. This helps with that mental focus when it comes to match days. Natural caffeine and guarana give you clean energy, plus green tea extracts and berberine and L-carnitine support your metabolism. And on top of that, the Optimum Night has been improved with 6 ingredients as well. You've got magnesium, you got ashwagandha, you got L-theanine, you've got apigenin and lavender extracts, all to help you get that deep and supportive sleep. So instead of taking loads of supplements, bring yourself down to Optimum Day and Night with 13 carefully selected ingredients, and all you need to do is scan this QR code, use code FFTV, and you get 70% off your first order. Let's get back into the video. Shout out to Oxford Natural, check them out, but let's get into the news about Morgan Gibbs-White. So this is a story that's been released by the Daily Mail, the Daily Fail. I'll tell you off the bat, before we get into the story, that if Gibbs-White leaves Forest this summer, I would be absolutely shocked. I think the chances of him leaving are less than the chances that Ant doesn't interrupt on Gore in the next episode. Sorry, Ant, I had to get that in. So I think there's a very, very slim chance in this. Why is all this coming about? It's still from the story we told you last week about Morgan Gibbs-White changing his agent, and suddenly people are still trying to put 2 and 2 together. Honestly, I'll be genuinely honest with you. I think right now there isn't that much going on at Forest. Okay, yes, we know about Diomande. I'll give you an update on him in just a second. We know Reed is being hijacked by Roma and all this stuff, and Forest are moving at snail's pace. Okay, there's no denying that. There's obviously going to be the reasons for it. So people need to fill the column inches. And I just thought, look, we got to get through this whole Morgan Gibbs-White saga. I know we're going to have the Spurs fans getting all giddy and excited in the comments, being like, oh, he's coming to us. Oh, Bergvall swap for Gibbs-White and all this crap that they come up with. Yet they forget the pain of the slap they got last summer from Marinakis. But this is coming from Daily Mail. I'll run you through, it's quite long, so I don't want to take you through everything. So I'll run you through some key things. And like I say, Daily Mail, I give it as much credit as I give, I don't know, putting crypto up front or something. It says, what Gibbs-White's agents change means for Forest future, Glasner's role, the boost of Bayern Munich. I mean, they're even linking him to Bayern Munich, man. Interest from Chelsea and where boyhood club Man United stand. So it says the transfer news was announced across social media by a user with more than 100 million followers. Ooh. The player in question is Gibbs-White. Until now, at least, he has not changed clubs this summer. Rather, the Nottingham Forest tenors decided to switch representatives from the powerful CAA to a roof, an emerging force in world football agents, and the news came through Romano. Anyway, it then goes on to say who they've with. I've already told you guys that on the last video. And then it says, here Daily Mail Sports looks at where Forest and Gibbs-White stand with what might happen next. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. It says, what's Forest's stance? Unless the offer is too attractive to turn down, Forest's position is that they have no intention of selling Gibbs-White this summer. Wow, breaking news, Daily Mail. Thanks for clearing that one up. It's not what we've thought as a fan base. It's not what how football in general works. If someone came in, Gibbs-White's not for sale, but if someone comes in and offers 200 million, then Forest will be hard pressed to reject that. It's just so dumb. Anyway, they go on and talk about the Elliot Anderson sale, rehashing old stuff. But This is probably where I think there's a little bit of journalism gone down, and it's not that high level either. Having hired Oliver Glasner as coach, Marinakis' plan is to improve rather than simply consolidate. The idea is to build the new look Forest around Gibbs-White, who missed out on a place in England's squad despite scoring 18 goals and 7 assists in all comps last season. So that in itself is true. I don't think you lose Elliot Anderson and Gibbs-White in the same window. It would be stupid to do that unless a silly offer comes in. Then it goes on to remind the Spurs fans how stupid they are. When Gibbs-White moved to Tottenham last season did not go through, he signed a new 3-year deal at Forest, making him the highest paid player in the club's history. There you go, and he's on 150k. It then goes on to say, they also believe Glasner's arrival can take Gibbs-White's game to another level, just like he did with Wharton, Elise, Eze at Palace. But to achieve this, Glasner needs Gibbs-White to be fully committed and not with one eye on the move. So here they try and get into Gibbs-White's mindset. They talk about he's seen, Elliot Anderson, Elanga, etc. moving to play Champions League football. Does he think that can happen under Forest? The answer is going to be, of course, yes, at some point. It says he would not be human, though, if the transfer of Anderson and Elanga had not affected his thinking. If they were good enough to play in the Champions League, Gibbs-White may have wondered why wasn't he? While not necessarily unhappy at Forest, Gibbs-White is ambitious. These journalists, man. So why is that unique to Gibbs-White? I reckon if you picked any Premier League footballer, they would have an air of arrogance about them to think that they are going to be good enough, if not already good enough, to play in the Champions League. That's the whole point of why athletes or elite athletes are elite athletes, because they have that arrogant mindset that they can push themselves to do better. So well done, Tom. That's really insightful. Bitterly disappointed to be left out of the England squad. We know that. And the Daily Mail Sport can reveal that Chelsea showed a growing interest in Gibbs-White early in the summer. But as he aspires to play for the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on to say his boyhood club, Manchester United, where he idolised Wayne Rooney, while at least once Man City have moved for him without taking the final step. So there was talks there. I think they'll go on to say it, that before Man City bought Ryan Cherki, they were pretty close to getting Gibbs-White, and then Cherki had that release clause for 29 million or whatever it was, so they ended up going in that direction. As for United, it's thought their priority currently lies elsewhere, with Bruno Fernandes producing a sensational campaign last term, the rat. Daily Mail Sport reported last Feb that Gibbs-White was seen as potential replacement for Fernandes, were he to leave United this summer, but at this stage there appears little prospect of a Portuguese player changing clubs. So what they're saying there is if Fernandes was to leave United, Man U would be interested in him. How does this play out? Like Tom. It is understood that Glasner's arrival has already had a positive impact on Gibbs-White. At the end of last season, with Forest finishing 16th and losing the semi-cup final, Gibbs-White was assessing his options. Would he ever fulfill his Champions League dream by staying at Forest? The answer is yes. In 3 of the 4 seasons since promotion, Forest have been fighting at the wrong end of the table. Last season, they finished 16th. We know all that is just fluff. Gibbs-White is said to have been energised by Glasner's arrival and has been particularly impressed with the Austrian during Forest's recent training camp in Portugal. Gibbs-White will also be keeping a close eye on new signings. Will these, plus the arrival of a proven winner in the dugout, be enough to stop his head being turned? And this is the bit that's weird. This is the bit with Bayern Munich. It says, intriguingly, Daily Mail Sports understands that if Elise leaves Bayern Munich this summer, I think he's running Real Madrid, Gibbs-White would be amongst the candidates to replace him. Elise is wanted by Real Madrid. It is worth noting that Roof have strong links with Bayern, who have recruited extremely well from the Premier League recently by signing Elise in 24, Harry Kane a year earlier, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so a lot of crap in that article. And I just thought I'd bring it to you because, these aren't really stories for me, but we had the one last week about Murillo going to Chelsea. I didn't even do a video on here for it because a lot of this stuff is just utter crap. And now we're seeing this Gibbs-White Bayern Munich if Elise leaves to Real Madrid, and Elise will leave to Real Madrid if Vinicius Jr. doesn't sign a new contract. If Vinny Jr. doesn't sign a new contract, is he going to go to Arsenal? If he leaves there, that leaves a whole blah, blah, blah. It's just such speculation that is ridiculous right now on what's going on with Gibbs-White. So here's my stance on it. Gibbs-White will still be a Forest player come the end of the transfer window, unless, and this has been my stance consistently, someone comes in with 100 million. And I think that's what it will cost in this market. Forest will benchmark Gibbs-White now, not against Elliot Anderson. They will benchmark him against Morgan Rogers because they are more similar players, similar traits, etc. That's where it will be. So if Rogers went to Chelsea for 117 million, Forest would be looking for 100 plus for Gibbs-White. So sorry Spurs, you had your chance last season, but Forest always win. Now, just a quick update on Diomande. And again, there's not too much to tell you here, so don't sit there excited by anything else thinking, oh, here we go, and all this stuff. Nothing has really changed. There's like these daily reports that are coming on saying it's closer than it was yesterday, but it's further than it is tomorrow. It's like, that's the updates. I've seen reports saying that Sporting want 40 million neat plus some kind of sell-on clause and bonuses, etc. Forest are at 38 million euros, so they're 2 million euros apart. At this stage, I think this is getting silly. And I'll tell you why. If Diomande was still training with Sporting and doing a pre-season and everything else, then I'd be like, all right, whatever. When he comes in, it will take him a week to get up to speed. He can get straight into the flow of things. Him, Murillo, Milenkovic, nice and easy. Problem is, he's not training with the main Sporting team, and therefore, how match sharp is he going to be? How much fit is he going to be? These are kind of problems. Forest needs to get this over the line. Forest are now back in England. You've seen Ndoye rejoining the squad after his extended break because of the World Cup. So he's missed out on that Portugal camp, which I go on about. I know the boys are saying to me, you're doing too much on it, but whatever. We just need to get this one done. I still think it does get done, but it's just dragging out. And on Reed, for those of you who are wondering, I'm not confident on this one at all. I still hope it happens. There's hopium for me here. But the price keeps going up by Feyenoord now because they got exactly what I warned you lot about weeks ago. Forest needed to act fast. 25 million euros was a bargain. Now they're negotiating Roma up and they're using Forest as that negotiation bait. There's talks that they want 30 million euros now, plus sell-on fees and add-ons and everything else. That Reed deal could have got done weeks ago when no one else was in there apart from Forest, but we decided to drag our feet on it. So, I still trust Marinakis and what he's doing, but he needs to get players over the line because it's taking too long now. Anyway, that's your Forest news and your BS stuff from the Daily Mail. Get your thoughts in all of that. We'll see you on the next video. Make sure you check out Oxford Natural and use code FFTV for 70% off. Come on, you Reds.